But when the source on information is saying something in sports that you're not hearing anywhere else, and he is a rapper or a former rapper, Camron, and he's doing it on a very popular podcast that a lot of people like because he's funny. And when he talks about sports, Tony, you love this podcast.
It's the best show on sports right now.
What's the name of the podcast?
It is what it is.
And he had information that he's reporting that I haven't heard anywhere else about what Jordan Poole said to get punched by Draymond Green. Let's play that sound.
And from all the things that I was hearing him say, not guaranteed, but they were saying his reasons Draymond punched him in his face. They said the first day he told Draymond Green, you know, Michigan and Michigan State have beef. Draymond Green's from Michigan State. He's from Michigan. He told
That's already
Draymond,
a lifetime rivalry, right?
Right.
there.
He told Draymond, I fuck more bitches in Michigan State than you went there. And then they was running sprints or something. He told Draymond, don't worry about it. You'll be in Sacramento next year. Then he told Draymond.
That's crazy.
Then he told Draymond, why is your Twitter handle Money Green when you broke and you're not going to get a new contract? And that's the one that broke the camel's back when he ended up punching him in the face. So a lot of stuff
So that was a cover-up then.
That's what they're saying, and Draymond couldn't talk about it. So it's a.
What are you shaking your head about and eating candy about, Samson?
Because he said it. Now that's what happened between Draymond and Jordan Poole.
Oh, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I'm asking you, I believe the sourcing. I'm asking you to examine sourcing all across sports because you and Jeremy had different sourcing on something, different information.
Mine isn't sourcing. I don't view my access into the baseball world as sourcing.
You talk
I'm
to
not a
people.
reporter.
No, but you talk to people. You came on the air and you said Jazz is a problem in that clubhouse. And it's not
I
because
just know it for a fact. It's not a source.
But you know
But it could be a fact for some people.
Wait,
and
is anything you don't have firsthand knowledge of, does that have to be sourced?
Yeah. And just say I spoke to sources. I think with the platform.
Let's just all name our names, and then we can decide whose names we like more, and then that person is right.
That's not how you do it, Billy.
Well, it could be.
So
Let's be the first.
I would actually be happy to name names.
Ooh, I love this, Jeremy.
I don't care at all.
Why would you dismiss Camron as a source? He might be super informed here, more informed than most.
He may be, but you think that the reason why Draymond and Jordan Poole aren't playing together, is it because of that?
I would say to you the reason that's interesting, if it's true, it's because it seems like the Warriors have sided with Draymond on this. If Draymond is indeed welcome back at a bigger contract, I don't know if that's actually so, but the Warriors are about to decide whether they want to remain championship contenders or not. And Steve Kerr has said Draymond has to be a part of that. Draymond opted out of $27 million, and they traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul out of nowhere.
He was overpaid.
I don't know. Yeah, he was overpaid. I don't know what happened there. But Jordan Poole was good enough for $140 million a year ago, gets punched in the face and isn't anymore. And they seem to have decided that Draymond Green's the guy that they prefer over Jordan Poole.
I mean, they could decide that neither of them
that too, but are you inclined to agree with the sourcing here is what I'm asking you.
I take it for what it is, and that's more data. That's the first time I've heard that theory as opposed to other ones that have been out there that was just, these things happen in practice. And they told us all year long that it wasn't that big of a deal. And then after they get eliminated, everyone says, oh, yeah, no, it was a huge deal in there. So I think this is yet another interesting.
With more people? Was that?
It's another interesting bit of gossip.
That's the sourcing?
To me, the important thing is what we all saw on that video was that there was a player being punched. Motive doesn't really. It's such an unprofessional thing to do to a teammate that the motive, while I'm curious, doesn't really factor in what actually happened. I mean, what happened was monumental. What happened was teammates got involved in a fight, and one player knocked the other player's lights out.
It seems like Camron could say things that people on sports television can't say, as we just heard. But if that's the real reason, and they can't report that on ESPN or another credible
places,
places,
irrelevant context.
I don't think he's saying something that other people can't say because, if I came into contact with that information, I'd share it, and I'd say according to my sources. I probably wouldn't say the F word.
Well, that's the part that's almost more interesting about this entire story, almost even than the details that he is reporting, is that if he has those details, you have to imagine some of the other information people around the league had those details many, many, many months ago. And what's really their reason for not sharing? That's kind of the bigger question to me.
But okay, so let's again dig down on something that generally I have more interest in than the audience or anyone else is just sports journalism and the rules governing results that now you need to know the integrity of, right? When gambling makes an appearance, and I don't think Shams did anything wrong there.
If I may, on the Draymond Poole thing, like, it's entirely possible that there are legacy media insiders that knew that bit of gossip, and it's just far too salacious to run with. And some people have, like,
players who fight about women. Yeah. Overwhelming. 90% of the player fights I was a part of were all over women.
There's a line, whereas that doesn't become the lead. The lead is that this fight happened between teammates. The reasons around it aren't necessarily important, and they're just gossipy and salacious, and legacy media probably wouldn't go down that road.
We'd want to get to the bottom of why players would fight, so we would ask them, and we'd get to the bottom of it. But at the end of the day, we were more interested in the fact that they did and just figuring out, can we go forward with those two players or not? That's the decision you make as the front office.
Okay, David, but I'm asking you to consider in the middle of this fight, okay, the human element of where it is, something champion disintegrated. That team that said it was light years ahead of everybody else decided to go well into the tax with, we'll sign Wiggins and Jordan Poole and we'll get all the advantages by just spending money because we've got a great new arena and we're doing it differently than anyone else in the sport, light years ahead. A year ago, they decided Jordan Poole, there are human dynamics at work here in the fracturing of a champion. What was said matters maybe not in gossipy journalism circles in a way that should be reported, but it sure as hell does in that locker room. Don't tell me it doesn't. If they've got to work together, when Jordan Poole was asked about the relationship, he said, me and Draymond had a business relationship. But Jordan Poole was terrible last year. And it looked like he was having a hell of a lot more fun the year before when he played for the Warriors. Maybe it's because of winning, or maybe it's because he hadn't just tested a guy who just knocked him out and shamed him in front of everybody. Like, in front of everybody, you're not going to talk to me that way because you're not a champion and I am, and I'm the soul of this team. You don't think that fractures the center of where a champion resides?
No, because players don't – there is no clubhouse where all players get along. That fracture exists in every locker room.
Yeah, but there are no clubhouses where that not getting along gets video for us, and we all get to laugh at the shamed young person who just got beat up by the champion Draymond, who talks his shit and backs it up.
But what if their championship window is just closed because they're older and just other teams passed them? And Jordan Poole was signed incorrectly?
But they had that controversy at the center of fracturing a champion, which is an unusual
I don't think it was at the
controversy.
Center. It wasn't at the center. It was just something that happened.
It doesn't seem unusual for Golden State. Because Draymond's fractured two championship teams. His relationship with Kevin Durant is why Kevin Durant decided to leave.
But they come back and side with Draymond every time.
I don't think you're saying they sided with Draymond just because Poole is out right now. Like, we have to see if they bring Draymond back. They could have easily decided we'd rather have Chris Paul's bad contract than Jordan Poole's bad contract.
They did. It's actually it's shorter. They got rid of years of a bad contract. The NBA has so many bad contracts.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least if Draymond is also out.
That is possible.
It would seem like the more likely thing, given what everyone's theories are.
Would you give him $100 million to keep the championship? What did you call it? The championship dream from fracturing?
I just was surprised to hear Steve Kerr, the coach, say, we're not a championship contender unless Draymond plays for us. That is a public pressure that an agent would apply.
That infuriated me when he said that because it took my leverage away.
But you're not involved in these negotiations.
Yeah, but just pretending that I were.
Bob Myers left.
Yes, he did. But Mike Dunleavy's there. He's on it.
What do you make of him leaving there? Because this is the end of that, is it not? Even if Draymond comes back, it's still the end of it, and these things end messy, and their chief executive who put them life years ahead of everybody just left.
I mean, the end of it doesn't signal let's make a move for Chris Paul. That doesn't seem like the end of it.
It's Theo leaving the Cubs. Myers leaving the Warriors is the equivalent of Theo leaving the Cubs, which he did after he realized that, wow, we're going to lose these players. We're not going to win another World Series. See you later. I'm heading back to my road to be commissioner. That's what Bob Myers was doing.
Chris Paul's move, Mike, that is not light years ahead. Chris Paul.
I think it's pretty inspired in that no one really saw it happening, and they found a way to get out of what we all now assume after post Draymond Jordan Poole fight. Oh, this Jordan Poole contract, that doesn't seem great. And they actually leveraged a younger piece, but what they expect to be a bad contract, and they got a bad contract in return, admittedly, but one for much shorter term.
I can't believe I've done this long enough now that I'm arguing on behalf of the intangibles as Sampson tells me that Poole was not impacted in any way by having his face and his respect.
And in part of like their whole light years ahead thing, D'Angelo Russell did play well for Golden State.
Not at the end, though.
But they moved D'Angelo Russell, and they've done this before, where they move a young piece that seems to be playing pretty well, could maybe figure into their future backcourt, and they decide, no, we'll take Wiggins. They do unconventional things. It's why they're light years ahead, air quotes. And keep in mind, this is like a light years ahead team that failed with a lottery pick. Yeah, like they had throughout this rebuild and this second championship outside of the Durant thing. Well, it's not second, but you know what I mean in terms of core. And they go out and get this other championship. They did so in spite of losing out totally on that lottery pick.
The Astros drafted Mark Appel. It happens. People make mistakes.
Baseball's different.
No, it's
now the NBA lottery is not. The NBA lottery is not the crapshoot that baseball's draft is.
I would have taken Sam Bowie. I wouldn't have. Is that lost on everybody?
No.
You would have taken over Michael Jordan.
He was good at the time.
Sam Bowie?
Sam was size. Back then, you needed size. It was a center-based league.
Is it Bowie or Bowie?
I think it's Bowie. But I was just thinking about David Bowie, so that's why I said it. I'm very bad with that. That's why I was asking before the show started. We're doing all these things. I need to know how to pronounce stuff.
Ziggy Stardust.
David Bowie, Sam Bowie, and you don't want me to make fun of how old you are.
Wagner.